allegiance with Mr. Stridarn.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Mr. Velez's dad passed away last week, and thoughts and prayers about this week.
Thank you, Mr. Stridarn, that's very nice. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Copatino? Here. Mr. Howard? Mr. Johnston? Here. Ms. Mineo?
Here.
Mr. Menuda? Ms. Prokop?
Here.
Mr. Stridenheim?
Here.
Mr. Tabano? Ms. Zambito?
Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose. Matter made confidential under FERPA, employment history of particular individuals, matters leading to the employment of particular individuals, the review of programs and placement of students with disabilities, and collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, NTA, CSCA, NASA, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Copatino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridenheim?
Yes.
We will return at 7 o'clock. We're going to change the agenda around a bit. We're going to hold off public discussion because we have some young people here who need to go home and study and then go to bed. So, Dr. Padilla.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, everyone, especially our scholars. Just as a recap for those who are brand new, this is perhaps your first board meeting. Starting in September, we kicked off a district-wide initiative to honor student leadership, to really think about ways we can uplift their voice and give them opportunities to share ideas and contribute to the school environment. This stemmed from an initiative we've had over the last 2 years where I hosted a superintendent student advisory council where I worked once a month with students from our secondary grades. And I said, you know, that's not enough. We need to hear from all students and their student leadership in all of our buildings, and why not celebrate that? This was in alignment with our district mantra, which is values matter. Hashtag values matter. And each month, what we're going to do is we're going to recognize a school for the value of leadership, right? This is built into our vision and mission. And this evening, there's a young leader right there. And this evening, we're going to recognize Fostertown Student Advisory Council for the leadership that they've displayed so far this year. So if I can have the administration from Fostertown, Ms. Santiago and Ms. Raymond. I had the real pleasure a few weeks ago sitting in on this Student Advisory Council, and they were talking about things like random acts of kindness, right? And so they were looking at how can we as a school community uplift the value of kindness. And what's really important with this mantra this year is that we are trying to move away from making assumptions around what these things are, right? Because that's very common to do. And the example that I often use is respect, right? So generally on the surface, we all can identify more or less with what respect is. And so we make the assumption that everyone around us knows how to offer respect, what respect feels like to one another, and sometimes we're very, very wrong, right? So Fostertown is doing this work, and the charge to all of our schools is let's explicitly teach these values. So with that said, if you can just share a little bit about the work that you guys have been doing, and then let's celebrate the leadership of our Student Advisory Council members.
Good evening, and thank you for having us this evening. We are so proud of our students. As you notice, they're waiting to be presented. But just to give you a little bit of the information of what we've been doing at Fostertown, our Fostertown Lighthouse team has been working on many initiatives in the building. They plan and discuss how to promote school spirit. You know that if you make school fun and you make them want to share in the decision making, they want to come to school and they want to be part of that leadership. So we've been working on deciding some of the themes for the school. We've been promoting our 7 habits. You know, we've been starting the Leader and Lead process, which is a wonderful process in empowering our students to be leaders. You know, we have many adults and they look up to us as adults, and they look up to us as for the answers. That shouldn't be, because within themselves they have answers. And sometimes their answers are better than ours. So we try to hear what they would like to do as a team, and then we empower them to come up with these ideas and give them some kind of leadership role to empower them to help the other students in the school to share those ideas with them. Also, we're promoting the character trait of the month. We have leaders of the month. They have certain character traits that they are nominated for. Kindness, this month is kindness, so it's compassion and kindness for others. By organizing our kindness coat drive for December, we are collecting very gently used coats so that we can donate them. We also organize our random acts of kindness, which begins tomorrow. We have a board in the back. They are the ones that are going to present the stickers to the individuals who are nominated for doing these random acts of kindness. So they're really involved in all of these decision-making ideas for our school. We are allowing them to be empowered, and we are so proud of them. And I am very happy that we are honoring them today. So thank you for inviting us tonight, and thank you for hearing. Please come out to the school. Please come and visit us. You will see that our children will greet you. Our children will show you what the school is all about. So don't hesitate to visit us, and thank you. At this time, we're going to call our student Lighthouse team so they can receive the certificate and come on. Sydney King. Robin Silpaso. Isabella Dines. Maya Belbillion. Alexia Christopheridis. I think Christopheridis. Victoria Frazier. Sienna Felcher. Sydney Hope. Jordan Bryant. Annika Landopa. We have 3 members that are not here, so we just want to honor them. Wendell Wright, Mark Yang, and Lolo Perron. These are our student leaders, and they are definitely our future leaders.
that concludes this item, Madam President.
We're going to move on to public discussion and comment on agenda items. And thank you, students and parents and administration and teachers for those that are here from Boston. We're now at the public discussion and comment section on agenda items. Please refer to the public comment procedures posted by the sign. We have no one signed up, but is there anybody who would like to address the board on agenda items? If not, we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the resolution to adopt the 2016-17 board goals. I'd like to entertain a motion, please. I understand there needs to be an amendment to one of them.
Correct, Madam President. For talent development, it should be talent development for all students.
They're going to see that under item bullet number 2. It should be talent development for all students, not advanced. So may I have a motion to amend, please? Questions or discussion on amending? Roll call to amend, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Coffey? Yes. Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Boca?
Yes.
Mr. Goodire?
Yes.
We have a motion on, an amended motion on the floor. Questions or comments? Yes?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm wondering whether we should kind of think a little further about these goals. If these are intended to be the goals of the board, it seems to me like several of these are kind of goals for the district, or things that would mainly involve, the implementation of these would involve work of other people and not the board directly. So I'm just wondering, do you want goals for the board that would be more directly about what we expect of ourselves?
Would you like to table this for further discussion?
Yeah, I feel comfortable with that, but if anyone else has any other comments, I'd welcome those as well. Motion to table.
Okay, do we have a motion to table?
Yes, I motion to table.
Can I have a second? Roll call, Mr. Clerk. Table?
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Boca?
Yes.
Mr. Goodire?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
We're going to, thank you. Thank you, sir. We're going to move on to the superintendent, Dr. Padilla.
Good evening again. We have several presentations tonight, so I'd like to start with NFA West, our administrator, Ms. Clark.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. I have a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to show. I'm going to give you a quick update on what's been happening at NFA West. So as you know, the work of NFA West began in September. We started with 63 students. We've had one student move, and now we're at 62. We've begun the internship work as of December 7th. We had 15 students go to various locations that you can see on the board, from West Side Music to Tango's Hair Salon. We'd like to extend a special thank you to the Newburgh Varsity School District Tech Department that we had at the Chestnut Street location, Kid Internal. 30 students will start the internship process on January 4th and the 18th. So we'll have 15 start on the 4th and 15 more start on the 18th. And then at that time, the remaining students will start in February. Some of these pictures show the students at their internship locations. Antonio's Cupcakes took 3 of our students. The Studio Restaurant took 1 of our students. And we also had, Mr. Sadie, you'll see there with the computers in front of him, was at the tech department at Chestnut. We had 3 students at Young Unique Daycare. So these are various sites that we went to when we started our internship process on December 7th. So that brings me to the next thing, which is the exhibition process. Now, as you know, NFA West has scheduled exhibitions of work at the end of the semester period. We decided this year there will be 2 exhibitions within the school year for the requirements of a specific grade level of the student and the status of the individual student's project. It is through this exhibition work that the student demonstrates his or her accountability of their own learning. So their learning plan facets will be covered in that exhibition of work, and it will be presented to a panel of students, parents, mentors, board members, central office, teachers, and staff. Exhibition topics this year are ranging from computer graphics to the development and evolution of a cell phone. All the topics, however, for this first exhibition have the same common theme, which is that of identity, and it will focus on the concept of who am I. What I don't have up there that I think is very important to add is that the second exhibition process will only focus on their LTIs, which are their learning through internships. So what you'll see in the second exhibition, which will take place in May, will be their work that they've exhibited through their internship process. So these exhibitions will take place at West Street between January 9th and 13th. We picked those dates because they were before the Regents Week. And it's a culmination of what they've done for an entire unit of study and semester. Each student will get 30 minutes of time, and following each exhibition, there will be a 15-minute family meeting between the parent and the advisor and the student to talk about the exhibition. All parents are invited to attend. They've received the save the date this week, and they'll get a formal invitation next week. That brings me to the last thing that I want to update you on, and that's part of our curriculum this year, has been our Hidden Figures project, which is our second unit of study that focuses on social identity. If you're asking, you may not know what Hidden Figures is. It's the untold story of 3 African American women who have worked at NASA and were behind the first man on Mars. The first man on orbit. It is a revolutionary story that we felt the kids needed to know about. At West, we talk about courage all the time and having no limitations. We believe that this was something that the kids should study and learn about. They'll have the opportunity to engage in research and explore the roles in all of the STEAM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math. In November, they were introduced to the project, and they discussed excerpts from the book. Students are comparing and contrasting the way that African American women and Caucasian women are portrayed during World War II, as well as their historical biases. They'll work on the prototypes designs with the 3D software, which I have some pictures of because they were really excited about. And in science, they're researching how scientists turn their ideas into plausible and creative applications and technologies. They're exploring the effect of gravity on their weight and the weight of another person in their math classes. And also, we've collaborated with the directors in each curriculum area who were conducting walkthroughs and a pulse check-in to see how the teachers were doing with this project. So what you have here is you have students working on their Hidden Figures work, which is a project that we gave them at the end in each subject area. They created some things in the 3D printer. Over there. And on behalf of the NFA West staff and myself, we wanted to extend you a happy holidays, and we also wanted to give you a t-shirt that's in front of you. We'd like to thank Madam President and Ms. Brokash for providing the NFA West staff and yourselves with the shirt. So if you guys have any questions at this time, I'm open. Questions, comments, and please come by and see exhibition work at that time as well.
Mr. Stridine.
Thank you for the t-shirt. As far as the Hidden Figures, is it possible that a trip for the students to the Hayden Planetarium as a final follow-up to their research?
One of the things that we planned for the students as a culmination was January 20th, they would see the movie, as well as working with the middle school students, 8th grade students. It's not out of the question to go to the planetarium. What we were trying to do is maybe visit the NFA planetarium. We were here, it was under some construction at this time. So that may happen more towards like February or March.
If we have the 2 buses, we'll be able to go down to the city for free.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to encourage the other board members, I know Mr. Howard, Ms. Brokash, and I have been there. Please go. It's very exciting to watch students taking over their own education. It's really a very exciting thing, and led by Ms. Clark, I think you've done really magnificently. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
So I'm going to work with Ms. Clark on some dates to coordinate a site visit, and we'll shoot for January. Okay, so I'll communicate that to you, and just highly encourage you to really come see it for yourself.
We welcome any and all visitors.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Clark.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next presentation tonight is around our smart bond work. So I'm going to ask Ms. Rabinowitz, our Executive Director of Information and Technology, and her respective team that's comprised of ITFs and other support staff, if you guys can make your way up. And so this is part of the larger process. If you remember from phase one, when we brought forward a plan to the board regarding infrastructure work, this is phase two. And so after tonight, our hope is to get this onto the website for 30 days, allow the public to see, allow our community to understand a little bit of what we're doing with the smart bond money that was awarded to the district. And so this is phase two of that process. Ms. Rabinowitz.
Thank you, Dr. Padilla. Good evening, Madam President, Board of Education members, senior leadership staff, district staff, students, community, and parents. In Board Docs for your review, you should have received a copy of the 3-year SMART investment plan that was submitted in the spring, a copy of this evening's PowerPoint presentation, a copy of the SSIP, Smart Schools Investment Plan 3, Stage 2, which we'll present to you tonight, spec sheets regarding the Promethean, as well as a letter of intent and a letter from review from the architect. As we begin the presentation, I would like to acknowledge the hard work of our Smart Bond Committee, which was Dr. Padilla, Mrs. Felice, Mr. Kern, Mr. Quick, Mr. Catania, and Mr. Culata, and Mr. Velez. I would also like to thank the team members who will be presenting tonight. That's Mr. Antonelli, Mrs. Carbone, Mrs. Holmes, and Mrs. Catania. I also, and lastly, would really like to thank all the instructional technology facilitators and the teachers and the building administrators and the students who really participated in this pilot. We thought it was very important to get the students' perspective, and they really put a lot of potential and support in this, and they banged on it, and they're going to speak to you about it, literally and figuratively. We're very excited about it. So as we go forward, we'd like to just give you some background. In the spring, Newburgh submitted SSIP 1 and SSIP 2. It was for NFA Maine to upgrade the wireless, as well as for throughout the district, all the buildings need upgrades. Currently, we're waiting for approval from NICED. Once we hear that, we're ready to move forward and go forth. One second. Right. Tonight, you'll hear about the interactive phase. What we did is we had vendor presentations. We invited SMART. They presented about the SMART board. We also had Cisco, who presented about the MX800, and we had Promethean. And those are just some demonstrations of what they look like. We went on school visits to Troy. Troy has the Cisco up in the corner. They have it in every classroom. And we really thought it was important to go to the school, speak to the teachers, and see it in action. A vendor can tell us one thing, and they were wonderful, but actually seeing it in action with students and staff and speaking to teachers really is what made the difference. We also went to Wappingers. Wappingers has the Promethean boards, which is here. We're going to speak to it tonight. They have it in every classroom. The pilots. What we did with the pilots is we invited all the buildings to participate. Of course, we can only pick a few, and what we did is we picked it out of a hat, and we put one in the elementary school, one in the middle school, and one in the high school. And the pilots were in Horizons on the Hudson, South Middle School, and NFA North High School.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to allow us to speak to you this evening on what we all think is a very exciting phase of the Smart Schools project and what we can do with those funds. So what you're going to hear tonight is the result of collaborative planning to use the District Vision 2020 really as a guidepost throughout the process. So, as we've had plans in the past, the district's long-range technology plan, one of the goals for the district was to really foster equity by investing in classroom technology that can provide a multitude of means to both represent and express information. So that led us to interactive displays. And as we began to look at this device, we came across a couple different studies that were out there. One of them was done by a nationwide study, which included students and teachers, and it was across rural, urban, and suburban school districts, conducted by Dr. Robert Marzano. And the results of the study were very exciting. They found that the use of these displays, these interactive displays, really did equate to an increase upwards of 16% in student achievement. And it was actually the largest research project of its kind. And that brings us to where we are tonight, where we're going to show you and demonstrate to you the Promethean active panel. And really through the use of the district's Smart Schools funds and an investment in classroom technology, where our hope is that we can begin to develop a modern or future-ready classroom. And really that is explained nicely by the U.S. Department of Education, where they tell us that that is a dynamic, technology-rich teaching and learning experiences that not only engage but empower the students. And this device is going to allow us to do much of that. It's just one piece of the overall puzzle, but it is an important and vital piece. And it can help to create learning environments that are high energy, collaborative, and inclusive of all. And so what you can see next is a nice video that's going to give you an overview of the product and what it can do in the different ways it can be used. It's much more than what you've seen maybe in the past with SmartWorks. And then you're going to have several members of our ITF team who participated in the process, and they're going to show and demonstrate pieces of the board to you.
So my name is BJ Antonelli. I'm the Instructional Technology Facilitator at Horizons and also at Bonneville School. And what I'm going to talk to you a little bit about is pretty much why we decided, of the three, why we think this one's the right fit for Newburgh. The first thing is that there's a 5-year warranty. It's an on-site warranty where they will come and fix it, and if they can't fix it, they'll replace the entire board. We are, the ITFs and the technology department are going to be extensively trained, along with the teachers, of course, but we're going to be able to support this this board going forward so that the rollout of this is successful. It has multiple hardware and software integrations, so it doesn't mean that you just have to use this. There's if a teacher likes to use the computer for certain applications or a document camera or things like that, that also is supported by this. If we do decide to go through with this initiative, we're going to have a rollout plan in place so that we can ensure the successful implementation of this device. The Active Connect G-Box is basically like the brain of the board. It's pretty much like a portable hard drive that it connects into the back of the panel, and it can be moved from one panel to the next. It's replaceable, and it's portable, and again, it's a minimal cost. So if it breaks, the cost is less than $200 according to Promethean to replace that, as opposed to a computer, which is a lot more. And also the portability of it itself is a key feature, because I know there's a lot of teachers that travel from classroom to classroom, so they literally could have one of these G-boxes that's assigned to them, and they can come into room 205 and plug in their G-box into the Promethean panel, and their profile will be loaded instantly. So they don't have to wait to shut down or to log out and log in. It's just a quick disconnect and then reconnect your own. The boards are protected by Gorilla Glass, right? So they're very durable, and they hit a lot harder in the demonstration. They have a 50,000 hour life, according to a lot of testing that has been done by Promethean, which is equals to 17-year rating. And they provide dedicated PD for our teachers and our staff, as well as tech support for us going forward. Now, these are some of the classroom features that we noticed will benefit us going forward for curriculum instruction point of view. It comes with a portable stand, or it can also become mounted on the wall. It's adjustable for varying heights and sizes throughout our school district. It has multiple inputs, as I stated before, so you can connect. Obviously, the G-Box is the standard interface that we use. It's basically just plug it into the wall and go. But like I said, if there's a teacher that may have some software on their computer that they like to use, they can also connect their computer or a document camera, or hundreds of different peripheral devices that they make. It supports multiple users as well within the same box. So Ms. Carbone can show you that from just like on a Samsung phone, it's basically an Android operating system where you can change from user to user pretty simply. So if there's two teachers that share a room, like in a co-teaching setting, for example, if the main teacher is out and the co-teacher wants to use his or her settings, you just change over from teacher A to teacher B in 5 seconds, and then you have your profile loaded in all of your settings, so it's customizable for yourself. It has multiple touch points as well. So I think it supports up to 10 points. So it's no longer one at a time used for students and teachers. Individuals can interact with it simultaneously. It supports one-to-one device. It's one-to-one device compatible, so teachers can share content to student laptops, iPads, phones. If we end up going to bring your own device, the teachers can share the content to their device, and vice versa. Students can share their content back up to the board for the class to see, because a lot of students sometimes are hesitant to raise their hand, but now if we have the comfortability of the device in their own hands, they can do their work and answer the questions comfortably without having the fear of being embarrassed or getting the wrong answer. It also supports digital lesson conversion, which means if a teacher has a program that they really love to use, for example, we've been using Smart Notebook in this district for like 10 years, maybe 15 years, and a lot of lessons are already pre-made and things that we've done over the past, so that work would not be lost because you can convert those Smart Notebook lessons into the Promethean software with a couple of clicks of a button. It's very simple. We've done it a couple times already. So those things that we've worked hard on to make are not lost. It has built-in speakers that project through the front of the board, as opposed to flat screen TV, which are usually in the back. So these speakers, we might be able to demo the sound on. It's pretty loud, and it will fill a room even this size. The last thing is about the ClassFlow collaborative learning application, which is Promethean software, but it's free software that you can run on almost any device, and it's something that's really new edge stuff, and it's really something that's going to be good for our district going forward. This is a little video of a group of students who are using this board without a teacher. So a teacher is doing math centers, he or she is doing some guided instruction, at a separate table, and they can have these pre-made lessons where students can interact, and you can see they're just taking turns. They're just doing some addition facts with a honeycomb. And there's a couple pictures of some other things, you can use the document camera, as I stated, and some other activities. But the list is infinite. There's 500,000 apps out there that we can use on this board. She loves it. Right. So here's just two more pictures of just an example of a couple things, a couple different ways that the teacher in this classroom has used the board. This is a first grade classroom that we had piloted at Horizons. And now here's Mrs. Carbone.
Hello, I'm Cheddar Carbone. I'm actually at the South Middle School. Thank you, board members, for having us. So I'm going to show you some of the features of the board. At the middle level, we really kind of tested out the versatility of it. We do have teachers that share classrooms, so that profile is helpful to get the teacher to come into the classroom. You're not tripping over the other teacher's materials and stuff. Everything is organized and specific to your content area. It does have multi-touch points, so you can have more than one student up here writing at the board at once. So you're able to kind of go through and have more than one working on it. So that was an improvement to the digital boards that we've had in the past. Now, I know some of you are concerned that when we're going to buy it, it's going to sit in the classrooms and teachers aren't going to use it. The flexibility of this board is going to keep it current and active in our classrooms now and our classrooms of tomorrow. The replaceability and upgradability of the board itself is important. The durability of the board at elementary, middle school is a little rough on some equipment sometimes, so it definitely pulls its own there. It does have the capability, although it looks big here, I had it in a rather small classroom, and it's such an important tool. It didn't take up space. The teacher was really using it for a variety of different options. It is able to connect wirelessly to devices without having to hardwire the board in. So I'll take a second to show you that. This will go with any type of device that you have, so I'm going to use Apple AirPlay to kind of just mirror my board now to my computer. And
so I really like it because our teacher definitely uses it more than the board, and he can actually pull up the stories up here and annotate them as he reads them. Oh yeah, and then like just go from different things a lot quicker instead of pulling out a different sheet. He just like puts it in and yeah.
we piloted an 8th grade English class with Dennis Mark, a very active technology teacher who likes to tell me when things don't work. So I gave him the task of seeing how this works in his classroom, and he came back with great feedback. This can connect to any device with a QR code, Apple TV, or ActiveCast through a Windows device. That works nicely. And then I want to take a minute to show you the volume of the speakers on it. This is no additional equipment, no projector, no speakers. It's one plug into the power of the wall, and you're ready to go. I love teaching science. You're going to watch a little video about volcanoes.
Krakatoa, Mount St. Helens, Etna, Eyjafjallajökull. The images simultaneously strike fear and awe in our
Stunning
hearts.
visual displays, and the volume is
But
getting a lot
how
of
did these giant mountains form, and where does all that destructive force come from?
Okay. Just go back and Ms. Lewis, can you hand me back to the presentation? Can you go back one? So on the top picture you're going to see here are teachers playing with it. I wanted to stress that it's not just a tool to be used by students, but the teachers doing this. This is after parent-teacher conferences. It's 9 o'clock at night. We're getting kicked out of the building because the custodians like to clean up and leave. And my teachers are sitting there playing with it, interacting with it, engaging with it. It's just a natural platform for people to collaborate and communicate. On the bottom, it seamlessly goes with our Launchpad apps, again, per user. And here we have a resource room class I work with on several devices. One kid was on an iPad, a laptop, a desktop, and they're all able to interact with the lesson. The lesson gives you direct polling with the students. So as you're teaching, you can figure out and hear maybe that quiet student who talks more over the keyboard than in public, and you can hear and get a pulse on all the different questions you can ask them for the lesson. So the teacher can see the data in live, real time during the lesson, and they can also see the data later on for future planning and being able to differentiate and accommodate the learning needs of all the students. Class flow is what the next slide is going to be about. This is the Promethean interactive, collaborative application that they use. They have a marketplace where they have hundreds of pre-made resources that people can customize, tweak. You can collaborate with people from across the country in this marketplace setting. There are paid apps, but the free apps are more than enough to keep us all very, very busy. And I just want to kind of show you what some of the data looks like that teachers are collecting. So I did several polls with those students in that resource class, and I'm here, and again, they got these wrong on purpose so I could see how it's working. So we were able to get polling data, take assessments, formative and summative assessments with the data. All student data shows up anonymously at first, and then if I wanted to see the individual student names, I can hit show names and I'll be able to see which the students are doing. So it gives them some anonymity and privacy, but it also allows the teacher to collect and show data for themselves and with the students. We had some good conversations with the students, and they were interested to see the data as it came up. So another way to get them engaged in the process.
So here's just a short video that about the ClassFlow.
Introducing ClassFlow, a free collaborative learning application that helps teachers turn lessons and assignments into the most dynamic 45 minutes of every student's day. ClassFlow creates an interactive and collaborative learning environment that ensures the active participation and engagement of every student. By enabling the flow of dynamic, interactive content across multiple devices, including Chromebooks, iPads, notebook computers, interactive classroom displays, and more. Create interactive quizzes, polls, and team-based activities to assess learning. Deliver differentiated instruction to both small work groups and to individual students. Reward awesome behavior and encourage every student to actively participate in their learning. Extend learning beyond the classroom by sending messages, assignments, and collaborative projects to students. Centralize class information and notifications to help students manage schoolwork and homework. Getting started with ClassFlow is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Register for a free account. Start an interactive lesson. Use your own pre-existing lesson materials designed in any format, or search from the thousands of free customizable educator-created lessons available in the ClassFlow marketplace. Connect and collaborate with students. Share your teacher class code and deliver a collaborative and interactive lesson that engages every student. So go ahead, join the movement. Sign up for your free account at classflow.com.
It was very easy to get started with designing the lessons, but the best part about it is no additional apps or anything included in the student devices. They literally go to a website, put in the code, and they're immediately connected. So there's no delay in updating anything or installing anything. It's really real-time interactive data.
I was just going to add, as you notice, Conchetta isn't connected to this computer. She's not tethered. She can walk around the room and be anywhere as we move forward to 21st century.
Right. But you can hook up a computer if you want it to be stationary there. It has a variety of inputs that's leading us to that flexibility. The document camera, a webcam for video conferencing can hook up to it. So it has the flexibility for hardwire options as well as remote connectivity.
Good evening, I'm Jonathan Holmes from NFA North from the ICF there. Thank you, board members, for having us. On a secondary level, I'm not going to touch upon everything that they had already done, but on the secondary level, we really enjoyed this board for many reasons. One of the big reasons is they use it for coding. So in the coding classes on the secondary level, they were able to code right on the board without everyone being at their own laptop. They were able to do it or mirror it in any which way they wanted to do, and the teacher tried it many different ways. They were walking up, they could move the icons right around the board. The kids were very engaged. We also demoed it in a math classroom, and if you look to the picture to the right, the students were able to just go up, put their math problem up, and then every other student was able to come right up and annotate. They could annotate on their laptops, their iPads, their phones, any device that they had. Another thing I wanted to touch upon is for special needs and English language learners. This is a tablet that is universal in any which way without anything connected to it. So being that it is that, you can go on Google and use the Google Translator. It also has a translator, so if you have an English language learner, you are able to use that directly right in the classroom. No wasted time, no searching for someone to come help. It is right there on the device, which I thought was really, really nice. There's audio and video supplements for our different learners. for auditory or visually, kinesthetic, go right up to the board and touch it, move your notes around, annotate over what you're doing. And what's really, really cool, are you mirroring right now?
No, I'm annotating. This is I went on the internet, I got an excerpt from the Telltale Heart, took a picture of it, now I can annotate directly on that text from the online source. So while we can connect to document camera, you don't absolutely need it to deliver those lessons and annotate that information.
Which is really nice to have less devices, less wiring in the classroom. Are we able to just go to the whiteboard really quick and show how fast that is? So as a math teacher in the classroom, they really enjoy being able to hit 1 or 2 buttons. And boom, you have a whiteboard for anything that you wanted to stop. The interesting part about this as well is you can snap a picture of it and you can save it right into your photos. So if you want to go back later or for your next class coming in, or if you want the students to take it home, all you have to do is go into your photos and you put it right into a slideshow for you. The board definitely promoted collaboration in our classrooms. The kids were right up there working together, along with our administrators and teachers. Everybody was really enthused about the board. It addresses assistive technology needs and uses multi-sensory tools. It has many, many tools in it, including a spotlight, a highlighter, the auditory, the visual, the video. It has video in the class flow that she was showing you in the software. And, I mean, you can really teach to anywhere with this board, which I found it.
If you have multimedia parts of your lessons, your class flow, when I send it out to the students, they could watch the video of the moon landing, with NASA to go up, what Ebony was saying. And they have all the multimedia on here, so they can watch that video and hear that auditory or hear that passage on their own devices with headphones on, in addition to the speaker right above for the question.
And also take it home with them to study because you can snap a picture or put it into a slideshow, anything that you do on the board.
And so I think this is close to the last part, but this is a key piece also, is the role of the instructional technology facilitator in helping to roll out this initiative, because we need to be there to support our teachers, because we all know, and I've been in the classroom for about 8 years, that there's a lot of things that we have to do from day to day that interfere with some of the things. You know, we would want to spend hours and hours and hours learning how to use this. But we just don't have that much time in the day. So that's where the ITFs come in to help co-teach and kind of do some on-the-job training, so to speak, so that we can integrate this technology into our curriculum. We're also thinking about making some teachers who are willing to volunteer to be teacher leaders. So in the same way that Promethean's going to train us to support our teachers, certain teachers may want to volunteer to help support their grade levels, or maybe their grade bands, to be able to be, so-called in-house experts, so that they can also help their colleagues.
To make it easy, the use of this board, we want to ease into the transition as easy as possible, as being that it converts all of your files. For any teacher that has lessons already made, it cuts the time to almost nothing to import your files right into the board, which is awesome, so that teachers don't have to go back and change and redo their lesson plans to put them into a different format and waste their time when really they're teaching that same lesson.
So at this point, if anyone has any questions, we'll do our best to answer them. We don't work for Promethean, but we did have a lot of experience with this device, so if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Stridar.
Excuse me. When the devices come, does the company set them up in the classroom, or does district staff set them up?
Sure, so we have two options. We have an options where we do the install, the district does, or the company does the install. Either way.
So this is different costs.
In
for the
different
company.
costs, yes.
And as far as the devices themselves, if you have one within, on the other side of the wall, does the other classroom have the ability to access, or is it a different sign-in for each class?
It has a different name and a different sign-in. So yeah, you wouldn't be able to connect to a board, and you can put a step on it to not allow a child to connect at all. Like if you're teaching a lesson and you don't want them to mirror or show anything, there's a block right on there so they cannot.
And do you have the ability, if you have two classrooms within either the same building or a different building, to be able to connect with that other classroom?
Yes.
Great. Thank you. One other question.
Go ahead, Mr.
When the devices come in, as far as what the board can do to make it easier, is there anything that we need to know when it comes to budget time, or whenever this comes, as far as additional temporary staff to help set them up or get up to speed? That would be good to know in advance.
So if the district chooses to purchase installation and so forth, it wouldn't be anything from the district to do. It would be, they would do all the installation, they would do the walkthroughs of the building, we of course would accompany them, but it would all be done soup to nuts. If the district chooses for us to do the installation, the facilities department, then of course there would be some impact on that.
Mr. Cappuccino.
I have two questions. As far as the rollout, when this will be available in all schools, and the next thing is, when will the teachers be trained on these so they can utilize this?
Sure. So if the district approves this and it goes through, we submit it in January to state ed. Once they approve it, and hopefully because we've already had architectural review, there's no additional infrastructure that needs to be completed. We of course have to have our wireless done. We're looking to hopefully it'll be approved and be done in the summer and then be ready for the fall. Again, that's all upon state ed in regard to the rollout, but we have it planned, and if it's not by the summer, we can adjust. And your second question?
The second question, will the teachers be trained on it? And a lot of teachers are very reluctant to use technology. How are we going to promote this?
Sure. So the proposal comes with 60 days of professional development, how we choose to use that. The ITFs is a strong component. We would be training the ITFs. We would be reaching out, as BJ had mentioned, to teacher leaders. So they would have the first rule of training, and then we would start to run institutes. We can do it in the spring, even if we don't have the boards, because Promethean will work with us to lead demos, to give us more. We can start using the software even before it actually comes here. So we can start the training in the spring, go through the summer, and continue to do that. And we want to involve students as well, doing some of the training. That's another presentation for another day, but as we implement a student help desk, we can get the students involved as well.
I just want to add too that it's very intuitive, this board, and I put this in the first grade classroom, and that particular teacher has the Samsung Android device, and she knew how to do, she knew all about the interface right away. And I'm saying that's not a blanket statement that everyone's going to know how to use it right away, but that goes in our favor. And also, the basic functions will be accessible right away. They're very easy to use. I mean, I can even show you in 5 minutes how to use it tonight. But the more advanced features like the class flow and then some other things that we may come across, those things will have to be rolled out over time, which goes back to our rollout plan and how we're going to ensure the success of this device.
In each building, even though the ITFs presented tonight, these were actually in classrooms of teachers. Teachers were using it for a couple of weeks and then they switched to another board. And then the ITFs would come in and work with them. And as BJ said, it was very easy for them to use right away.
Just an example of that, our math teacher doesn't have any technology in his classroom. He took the board in 10 minutes, was set up, and had kids mirroring their device with little, I mean, I set up the board and had it ready for him in the classroom, but in 10 minutes, he was teaching his class on the board with laptops and students.
Dr. Padilla, do you have a question?
Just to add to Mr. Copacino's point, so we're looking at training for the better part of a year and a half. So if we start in the spring, run institutes through the summer, and then obviously all of next year, there will be opportunities for training through the different layers. So ITFs and teacher leaders will kind of be our critical mass, so to speak, to be able to infiltrate all the buildings in every classroom, all the classrooms. It should also, if you didn't notice when they said this, this is for every single classroom in the district. So our proposal going up to the state is to equip every single class across the district.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Johnson?
Just one comment. I'd just like to encourage you to think about ways that people can share the resources that they find useful with this. I think that'll be very important. 500,000 apps is great, but it's really too many. So if there's some mechanism so that if teachers or even students find useful resources, if there's a way to kind of share that via user groups or something along those lines.
Okay, I just want to extend my appreciation and gratitude to you all for the pilot work, for all the individuals who aren't here, who are lending input and just giving us the feedback we needed to make a decision. So just thank you to all of you and to everyone else.
Thank you.
Okay, just to hit on the process, so this is going to go on the website for 30 days, so that way our community can access the same information that was presented tonight. And in January, the board will then have the opportunity to vote on this. Upon that vote, we'll then determine if it goes to state ed. Madam President, that concludes my items.
Thank you, Dr. Padilla. We're going to move on to board committee reports. We'll start with the library committee. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. The library committee met on December 7th. The committee received the usual monthly activity reports, also the library director. All of that material is available to the public on board docs. There was discussion around winter scheduling and how the library schedule can sometimes differ from the school districts. The library is sometimes open on district snow days. A new solar-powered charging station is awaiting installation, and the library is considering other device charging options to satisfy patron demand. Thank you.
Would you like to continue with the curriculum committee,
Sure.
please?
The curriculum committee also met on December 7th. There were presentations about 2 sets of new courses. One is an emergency management CTE track, and the other concerns high school math classes. A revised report card guidance document was shared with the committee, as was an iReady data summary. There was a follow-up presentation about the Global to Local project, which has received grant funding to support a trip to Ecuador. And again, with the curriculum committee, there's a lot of extra documents on board docs that anyone's welcome to visit and look at. Thank you.
Personnel committee, Ms. Brokaw.
Yes, we met on December 7th. A few of the things that we discussed, you'll see tonight on the resolutions, to abolish the video streaming specialty with a micro technician, to abolish a typist and create a bilingual typist, to abolish an assistant micro technician and create a micro technician. In addition, we have a resolution to discuss a resolution to approve Jawa diversity and inclusion consultant. Resolution to recommend a director of special education, and also approve a supervisor of operations and maintenance. In addition, we have discussed resolutions to approve lead evaluators for classroom teachers, NFA Maine, NFA North, and NFA West tutorial reviews, resolutions to approve the Saturday ELL at GAMS and appointments with that, and to approve the Saturday Academy ELA and math at Temple Hill and their appointments. Also, resolution to discuss resolution to approve homework help at Heritage Middle School. We discussed a resolution to approve the APPR plan. In addition, agenda recommendations, and the rest was in executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Brokaw, and thank you, Mr. Johnson. We're going to move on to the Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, my first item is recommendations from the CSE and CPSE committees.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
My next item is a resolution to approve the Dignity for All Students Act appointments.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Fortune. We're going to move on to the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Felice.
Good evening. Good evening, Madam President. We have several items this evening for CNI, the first one being the resolution to approve conference requests.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
No.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
That item fails.
Item 7.2 is a resolution to approve field trip requests.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.3 is a resolution to approve new courses for the CTE pathway and for our math department.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Something that I found particularly interesting in our curriculum committee meeting when it came time to discuss the math courses was the motivation behind the courses and why they were revamped and what some of the goals were that the revamping will try to achieve. And I'm wondering if you could get our Director of Curriculum to explain just a little bit about that.
Please.
Sure. So in alignment with Pillar 3, which is educational equity and excellence of our Vision 2020 plan, what you'll notice in the plethora of courses recommended, we offer something for everyone to get access to math. The data that underpinned the revision of the courses was the trending data for our New York State testing program in grade 8. In particular, I want to draw your attention to the fact that in the spring of 2016, overall, all students across our district only demonstrated 23% of the population in grades 3 through 8 either meeting proficiency or exceeding. That's an alarming statistic. When we drill down in that data and look at grade 8 in particular, we notice that for all students, only 4% of grade 8 met or exceeded the standard in the New York State testing program. Similarly, if we go further and look at our different schools that have the grade 8, we'll notice that at Temple, only 9% met or exceeded. At Meadow, 7%. Yams, 4%. South, 2%, and Heritage, 2%. So something needed to be done to help these students who are not meeting proficiency but going on to the high school to take on high school level coursework in math. Similarly, when we look at the high school trends in terms of the Common Core Algebra 1 exam, we're alarmed by the fact that in June of 2016, 42% of our students failed that exam, and in August, 72% at the main campus. And similarly, at the North Campus, we had 50% of our students failing the Algebra 1 Common Core Regents, and 82% failing in August. Something needed to be done, and so what our Director of Mathematics did in collaboration with the teachers of the math department across all campuses was revised not only the courses that were being offered, but the scope and sequence.
Thank you. And I think one point that that Mr. Schaefer made there was that sometimes students attempt to retake an exam, but they really don't have the coursework to support them in that. And this restructuring of the courses does a lot to help that situation.
Yes, ma'am.
One final point I'd like to bring to the board's attention is that CNI is also working across curriculum areas to revise the charting year course so that the whole menu of coursework across curriculum areas is well defined and sequenced and accessible to all.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Teneo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Thank you. Item 7.4 is a resolution to approve the agreement with Elant for clinical CNA students.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Questions or discussion?
Second.
Second, yes. Questions for discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Teneo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our CNI items.
Thank you, Ms. Felice. We're going to move on to the Assistant Superintendent of Finance, Mr. Kern.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. Item 8.1 is carryover from November 22nd meeting, resolution to approve the extension of the transportation contracts for 1 year.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Yes, sir.
Can someone please explain why we have two separate votes on extensions of contracts? Is it because the bidding process didn't work out, or is there another reason?
At the last meeting, you postponed to this meeting, Resolution 8.1. 8.2 is a variable options resolution. So at this point, it may be advisable to table 8.1 and then vote on 8.2. Table without date 8.1. Date.
Yes, sir.
8.2 starts in 2017, 2018. 8.1 is just the 1 year. So if we table 1 and 2 doesn't get approved, then we have nothing.
You may be able to bring 1 off of the table at a subsequent meeting.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Or is anybody going to table 8.1
Motion to table.
with no date?
No date.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Roll call on the table, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Teneo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Item 8.2 is a resolution to approve the extension of transportation contracts for 3 and 5 years.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Stridiron?
Do we currently have, are there currently court action against any of these companies in response to anything that's happened in the past? Do we have current litigation, not the district, but is there current litigation against these companies that have to do with our students from the past?
I believe there's still a pending litigation that insurance company counsel was assigned to, who's reported to the board on prior occasion.
So, as a follow-up question, how do we know if the bus companies that we are proposing to give a 5-year extension to are going to be companies that we want to work with in the next 5 years?
It's really speculative as to whether or not you would want to disengage.
Any other questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Johnston?
Just to understand the nature of this, this resolution, it sounds as if it were approved, then the contracts aren't really issued until the voters also approve, is that correct? So would there be an actual resolution on the annual vote that the voters would need to vote and approve? Is that how it would work?
Yes, that's right. This would be the predicate for enabling the voters to approve the multi-year agreements.
I guess a follow-up question, is there some reasonable way to come up with some estimate of the costs or the changing costs to kind of present that to the public? Is that something that would be understood in advance of that vote?
That's difficult to know until you let the bids.
Mr. Kern?
The contracts here will be extended by CPI, which is the Consumer Price Index, going into the next year. The big change in the contracts that the contractors have asked for is the wet contract that the district provides fuel for the live miles. So that's an additional cost to the contract for next year. The difference between what we have now on the table and what we had come back in the RFP, we're looking at a cost avoidance of at least the next 3 years of about $3.5 million.
Mr. Stridine?
As far as the concessions from the bus companies to us, what is the district getting for a 5-year extension? What are we going to get as far as improved safety, improved, some improvement that we need? We need a safer environment on the bus for our students. Are there any guarantees that we're going to get that? Or is it going to be business as usual?
Mr. Cupertino, would you like to respond?
What we're going to get is we're going to have a contract for 5 years. They're going to have the ability to get new equipment. They're going to be able to secure their personnel for 5 years, so they're not going to have such a problem with health turnover. So if you have the same drivers on the bus, and your people know those people in there, it's going to be a better situation for everybody. When you're going to year, it's pretty hard to maintain business. It's very hard to do that, and that's why I was pushing for a 5-year contract.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Pocock?
Yes.
Mr. Stridire?
No.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
That item fails.
Executive session, we can talk about this. Can you ask counsel, Mr. Shaw, is there a way to have an open conversation about this now?
If it's a matter of shedding light and perhaps bringing the matter back onto the agenda, you could do that, but otherwise, there's no reason in having further discussion at this point.
So should we move on?
Item 8.4, resolution to authorize the refunding of funds.
How about 8.3 first? No?
I can do this. Sorry. See if anybody's watching.
I am.
Resolution 8.3, resolution to approve bond council.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Pocock?
Yes.
Mr. Stridire?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Now resolution 8.4, to authorize the refunding of bonds.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Questions or discussion?
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
There's only 5 board members present at this meeting, and this particular resolution would need a supermajority vote. So there at least need to be 6 yea votes on this for this to pass. So I would recommend that somebody would table this and this would have to come back up at the next meeting.
Thank you. Would somebody table this motion, please?
Table.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Cupertino? Yes. Mr. Johnston? Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw? Yes. Mr. Strideiner?
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Item 8.5, resolution to authorize the board president to execute proposal with Park Patterson Lake.
I'd like to obtain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Strideiner?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino? Yes.
Item 8.6, resolution to approve facility use request.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Strideiner?
On the second and third items, did this activity already take place?
Mr. Kern?
Yes, it has.
How is that possible? How does that happen? Who gives the authority to do these programs in the school level if it's not approved? Is it the building level? Is it district level?
Dr. Dia?
The items were, the people who had put them in back in October thought that they were approved by the board. They didn't follow up on what needed to be done from the teaching standpoint. From what I understand, they went forward last week. They did not happen today. They're waiting for board approval.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Strideiner?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino? Yes.
Item 8.7, resolution to adopt revised safety plan.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Strideiner?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino? Yes. Mr. Johnston?
Yes. Item 8.8, resolution to accept a donation of washer and dryer.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Strideiner?
Can someone just let us know what's going to be done here with these? Is it going to be like children can bring their clothes to school and get them washed, or what is this for?
Mr. Mayor?
In talking with Lisa Vaughn, they're trying to entice, I guess, families to come in and be part of the school community. So it's an opportunity for families to do their own laundry while they're reading to their children and engaging in the learning process. It's also an opportunity to launder any students, those who may come to school who may need that to be done. So that's
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Brokaw?
Yes.
Mr. Strideiner?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino? Yes. Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes.
Item 8.9, resolution to approve bids for transportation.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Strideiner?
We got to keep bringing this up. 2 buses. Every time we hire another bus, we don't have to do that. What is the timetable to have the 2 buses that the board approved in the last budget?
Mr. Kern?
And at this time, looking at the cost of running 2 buses in the district, it doesn't seem feasible for the district to own buses and to put them on the road. The savings that we have will be minimal, and the upkeep and things that we have to do for them is going to offset the cost.
Yes, Mr. Strideiner?
But if the board approved the purchase of the buses, where we wanted to make sure it was used for the students. Yes, we knew there were going to be some additional costs, but we're just giving money to the bus companies at this point. So we don't have the flexibility that we need.
The shuttle buses that was required in the proposal, we're able to do those with the current buses that we have in the district, so there's no additional cost to the district. Having one large bus for an athletic event or for a field trip what happens on the day that the bus is broken down. We have 26 days per period, the fall, winter, and spring, that we can have buses on the road. So you have to pick one that they're going to go on. Field trips are happening pretty much every day. We do have those covered in the district. The minimum amount of savings that the district will have owning buses, where we can use the money for other purposes, is going to be negligible.
Who makes the call? When the board approves the money, who makes the call to not do it?
So this has been discussed several times in multiple committees. So at one point, it was, let's see what's going to happen with the bids that were put out. And my understanding was that there was, at least earlier in the school year, some time to kind of figure that out. Who makes the decision? Well, ultimately, the board approved it. So if that's what the board wishes to move forward with, then that's what will happen.
So right now, we have a resolution to approve bids for transportation on the floor. So I need to move ahead with that, and we'll bring that up at the next meeting, okay? And maybe we should talk about that a little bit more in finance. Mr. Cappuccino? Thank you. So are there any other questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Item 8.10, resolution to declare televisions obsolete and to authorize the disposition of the same.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Madam President, this time I'd like to take the opportunity to wish everybody a happy holiday, and this concludes the items for finance for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Kern. We're going to move on to the Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources, Mr. McLemore.
Thank you, Madam President. On the Human Resources agenda, items A through K, we have professional appointments, other appointments, professional leave of absence, a return from leave of absence, resignation, retirement, civil service appointments, change of status, leave of absence, civil service resignation, civil service termination, and employees who have passed away.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Item 9.2 is a resolution to authorize the board president to execute a consultant agreement with John Rock Consulting, LLC.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo? Ms.
Yes.
Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Item 9.3 is a resolution to abolish one FTE assistant micro technician and create one FTE micro technician.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Item 9.4 is a resolution to abolish one FTE video streaming specialist position and create one FTE micro technician position.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Item 9.5 is a resolution to abolish one FTE typist position and create one FTE bilingual typist position.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Copertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stridiron?
Yes.
Item 9.6 is a resolution to approve the Director of Special Education appointment.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Before you go on, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Castellano. She's still in the audience. Congratulations, ma'am.
Item 9.7 is a revised resolution to approve lead evaluators for classroom teachers.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Item 9.8 is a resolution to approve NFA main tutorial review appointments.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Item 9.9 is a resolution to approve NFA North tutorial review appointment.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So
Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. McLemore, I think we skipped 9.7.
Yeah.
We skipped something, it was before 9.7, it was, 9.7, yes, we did. Okay, then I apologize, I'm confused, keep on going.
For 9:10.
Item 9.10 is a resolution to approve NFA West tutorial review appointments.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Item 9.11 is a resolution to approve Saturday Academy at Giddy Avenue.
I'd like to-
Saturday Academy at Giddy Avenue.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So
Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Item 9.12 is a resolution to approve Saturday Academy at Temple Hill appointments.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Item 9.13 is a resolution to approve homework help at Heritage Middle School.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Yes, sir?
Do we have homework help at South Middle School?
Not at this time, that I'm aware of.
Will there be homework help in South?
Not sure, but I will definitely find out.
Thank you, Mr. McNamara.
What about the middle level at Meadow and Temple? Is it a matter of busing? Just wondering.
I'm not sure. I can find that out for you.
Let's get that in the weekly this week, please.
Thank you. Roll call, oh, sorry, Mr. Johnston.
I would just like to take a moment just to acknowledge and thank the many teachers that offer students help outside of their required hours. I think it's very honorable work, and it truly offers our scholars a better future. Thank you.
Any other questions for discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmatter?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino? Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Item 9.14 is a resolution to adopt the APPR plan for classroom teachers and building principals.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Questions or discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Strittmeyer? Yes. Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Item 9.15 is FYI tenure recommendations. Item 9.16 is a resolution to approve NTA settlement agreement.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Item 9.17 is a resolution to approve the reduction of probationary period for 2 teachers.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Item 9.18 is a resolution to approve the extension of probationary period for a teacher.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Item 9.19 is a resolution to approve salary increase.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Item 9.21 is a resolution to approve tenure recommendation.
I'd like, how about 9.20?
Yes, I'm sorry, Madam President.
So-
Item 9.20 is a resolution to approve salary increase.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Item 9.21 is a resolution to approve.
We need to
Point of
vote.
order, we have to vote on
We have to
9:20.
vote. Roll call, please.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Item 9.21 is a resolution to approve tenure recommendation.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Madam President, that concludes my items. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McElmore. We're going to move on to the clerk of the board, Mr. McCoy.
Thank you, Madam President. I have the approval of the minutes of the November 22nd, 2016 meeting.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please. Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
I also have the approval of the December 1st, 2016 meeting.
I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Questions or discussion? Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Ms. Mineo?
Yes.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Strittmeyer?
Yes.
Mr. Cupertino?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
That concludes my items, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. McCoy. We're now at the public discussion and comment section on non-agenda items. Please refer to the public comment procedures posted by the sign-in sheet. We have no one signed up. Would anybody like to address the board on non-agenda items?
Yes, I would.
Sure, please comment and state your name and.
Yes, my name is Darren Bryan. I have 2 kids in the district, a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old, they're both swimmers. I work for Verizon, I'm a project manager. I found out recently that Verizon will, through a grant, donate $750, provided I volunteer 50 hours of my time. And I've been volunteering well over that for the past 4 years, to the boys varsity swim team, the girls varsity swim team. So I would just need a sponsor, someone to, either one of the coaches to sign off, but I would use, I guess, a tax ID through the district to start the process.
I'm not supposed to answer, but I will. We'll have somebody talk to you at the end of the meeting, okay? Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board on non-agenda items? Let me go back. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby recesses into executive session for the following purpose. Matter made confidential under FERPA, employment history of particular individuals, matter leading to the employment of particular individuals, the review of programs, and collective bargaining under the Taylor Law, NTA, CSCA, NASA, and to obtain advice from legal counsel. I'd like to entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Ms. Prokop?
Yes.
Mr. Stritter?
Yes.
Mr. Copacito?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
Ms. Beneo?
Yes. We will return in 1 hour. I don't know whether or not we're going to be doing business after that. So, thank you.